Let's talk about what successful wives know. All right, I want to talk to y'all about this, and I'm just gonna keep it 100 today. I want to talk to you about what successful wives know that struggling wives don't. And I'm not talking about fairy tale love. I'm not talking about you know just some of this romanticized stuff that I see out here all the time. I'm talking about the wisdom the wisdom that many wives know who are scrolling online and they see all of this foolishness coming from women, wives, and some that are not wives, and they don't know what they're talking about. Uh, and we just have some things. We have some things. I'm speaking for a few people who I know will resonate with me that we know are important in a marriage. So the first thing is this: they respect the process. Okay? That actually keeps a marriage alive when you respect the process, not just the moment, particularly when there are difficult times. When you got difficult stuff going on, difficult issues, when things get tense, when emotions are high, successful wives don't panic about how to make sure they have it all figured out. How do we make sure we get all of the things handled right now? I can't tell you how many people come to me and they just need things to be addressed right now. Now you might be being, I don't know if that's what I'm trying to say, but you might want to bring something forward. You might be feeling compelled to bring it forward, but it doesn't mean that it has to resolve in the way that you want it to resolve right off the top. Too many wives who are not wise, but these are the struggling wives. They don't have patience. Da, 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 da. Wives who struggle usually have to work on their patience. But wives with wisdom, the successful wives, they understand that some conversations take days, even weeks. Some conversations take longer than that, and they stay in process. They know that growth in marriage is a journey. And so for me, I was really compelled to do this video because me and my husband was having some situations lately. And I like to reflect back, especially when we get to a good place. And I realized, I did good. I didn't do great, but I did all right. My husband did good. He didn't do great, but he did all right. And we are successful, point blank, period. And so what successful wives know is that instead of latching onto every word their husband says or doesn't say, right, paying attention to everything that they're doing or not doing, everything that's happening or not happening, that they have to stay grounded and that they are responsible for that. I am responsible for how grounded I stay. I am responsible for how tapped in, tuned in I stay. I'm responsible for being aware. This ain't going well. I'm losing focus. I'm hot as hell, mad as hell, and I need some space, and I need to be able to bring that forward. I need to also be able to make room for my husband. So successful wives, they give space for both people to feel, reflect, and shift. Because love that is really true love and it lasts, it isn't rigid, y'all. It's nimble. It's flexible. It's patient. It's willing to walk things out. And I just want to ask you today, are you willing to walk some things out? And let me just be clear. Walking some things out that take time in the marriage is not because you choose to stay. There are plenty of people who are choosing to stay. They in the marriage. Y'all been married for a long time, but you ain't been walking nothing out. So it's not just about being physically present or y'all are still together. It's about how you show up. It's about how open your heart is. It's about how honest you're willing to be. It's about how patient you're willing to be. It's about all the things, okay? The second thing I want to share with you in terms of what successful wives know that struggling wives don't. Successful wives know I got to have boundaries. And that boundaries come from a sense of self-respect, not resentment. And here's what a lot of people miss. Successful wives know that in order to serve my husband in the way that I am called to serve my husband, I must serve him with love. But I also must serve myself and lead myself with love. And in fact, let me just switch that. If I don't serve myself, if I don't serve myself and lead myself with love, there is no way I can show up for my husband in a balanced way. So the boundaries that I have, they start with self. I have pre-negotiated boundaries. I have agreements that I've made with myself that have nothing to do with something that has come up from out of my relationship. It has to do with my own sense of self-awareness. It has to do with my own sense of self-love. It has to do with my own commitment to making sure that wherever I go, no matter who I'm dealing with, that I present myself in the way that I need to be presented, that I have accountability for people when they are engaging with me, and that I have standards that I operate out of in terms of how I show up for people and how I expect for people to show up for me. Many of the struggling wives don't have any of that in place. Their sense of self is attached to the relationship. It comes out of the relationship. They're figuring out their positions on things and how they should move and flow based on reacting to the dynamics in the relationship. You got to do your own work. You got to get your own sense of what does this mean for me, and what does this mean over here, and does this work and does this not work, separate and apart from your spouse. So when you have those kinds of boundaries, then we don't have to be worried about boundaries that are about punishment. Successful wives' boundaries aren't about punishment or control. They're about honoring themselves. All right. There's a difference. And even when their husband doesn't celebrate those boundaries, because I know all about it, or they don't fully understand, they don't break down. These women are not looking for validation. These wives are not looking for validation to come from outside of themselves. It comes from the inside of themselves. There's a quiet knowing that my husband is still evolving. He's still learning, just as I am still evolving and learning. So there's a quiet confidence of knowing who they are, where they are at any given moment, and what keeps them well. And if you ain't good with that, husband, I love you, but that's what it is for me right now. That's what successful wives know. I'm going to give this last one. Successful wives know you cannot stay mad forever, sis. At some point, you got to reach for each other again. Now, this one right here, it might make somebody uncomfortable. In fact, I know it is. But successful wives know that the distance that naturally happens when there is contention and disagreement and funky stuff going on in a relationship, right? Emotional distance, physical distance. Successful wives know that at some point, you got to touch your way back. You can't just talk your way back all the time. You got to touch your way back. After the arguments, after all the tears, all the breakdown, there has to be a coming close, a drawing near again. And it's about connection. And physical connection is I'm not just talking about sex. I'm talking about the emotional intimacy. I'm talking about the touch, the glue. It's soul glue. Physical connection is soul glue. It reminds you and your spouse that your spirit and your body, it's still choosing him. I still want you. You're still mine. And while a lot of women wait, I'm talking to you right now. I know who I'm talking to, somebody who's listening right now, and I want you to just pay attention. While a lot of women wait for everything to be perfect and resolved before they can reconnect, successful wives understand that the connection in and of itself is part of the healing process. I hope you caught that. Because I could do a whole video on that by itself right now. That's a part of the process, but you're going to have to surrender some control. You're going to have to get unmad. You're going to have to pray to God to soften your heart. But at the end of the day, physical connection, the way that we come together as husband and wife, it is what separates that partnership from every other relationship in your life. Every other relationship. So if you cut that off, what? What is y'all doing? So I want you to just consider those things today. Consider those 3 things that successful wives know. And if you've been feeling stuck, think on these things. Essentially what I said is this: respect the process. Respect the unfolding. Respect the process of growing and evolving with another. Protect your boundaries. Understand where you begin and he ends. Make sure you're clear about that, not in reaction to him, but because of who you are and who you know yourself to be. And lastly, reconnect. Touch your way back, even when it's hard, even when you don't want to be dealing with that mofo. Touch him anyway. Open up your heart. This is what successful wives know. Will you be successful?